Welcome to the Den.
Welcome back, guys. This is our 8th edition of the Den. I'm your host, Merrick DiCarolis, along with my co-host, Caden Martz. How you living, Caden?
Pretty good. I actually passed that algebra class. A little stressful, but we got it done.
An incredible clutch up.
Incredible
One for the
clutch
ages.
up. Oh yeah. British Lit, how's that going?
It's terrible, but we're working on it. We got a B. We're just pushing through.
Going on to our game, our Oviedo game versus University. Score 20-23. University has the ball. They're going to go for it on 4th and 7.
Yeah.
A beautiful heave to the back of the end zone. One of the most disappointing moments as a Lions fan, honestly.
Yeah, really, I felt like it was a breakdown of our defense. We dropped back, and our smallest cornerback is on their best receiver, who is about 6'3", 6'4". He's been torching us all game, drawing pass interferences, catching long passes. Somehow our smallest cornerback gets locked up one-on-one coverage with him, and obviously he wins the game for University. The celebration after, too, that was
incredibly
wild.
tough, I'm not going to lie.
Spinning the ball, staring at Calamari, our corner, and then walking over and waving to the sideline.
It's ridiculous. And
Tough
honestly,
way to lose.
The catch was really good with that throw. I mean, I was right there, right, because the band's right behind them, and picture perfect.
Yeah,
the corner didn't – he tried. It wasn't even that bad.
Just a bad matchup, bad defense.
Oh,
the quarterback, he really showcased the long ball. He was finding that receiver deep like every play. That was their go-to, and it was working almost every time.
Yeah, looking at our predictions, I got the winner right, but score, 49-42. We'll get into our offense a little
It looked
later.
good at halftime, honestly.
It did.
The scores, I thought our predictions were going to hit at halftime, but the defense has really buckled down in the second half. Got to give it to them.
Yeah, Merrick, I think that's the first time either of us got the team wrong in our predictions.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate the Lions' love,
you know what? No, I really thought Oviedo was going to win. I thought Coach O wasn't going to lose to University 2 years in a row, but just get out-schemed, outplayed. Nothing you can really do. A lot of talent on that University side.
Yeah, looking at our upsides, though, Chance Nixon, another standout performance, 169 all-purpose yards, 9.5 yards per carry, and 3 catches. He's just playing great again.
Every single game, man, Chance Nixon, he's a burner. He showcases it, breaks off at least one explosive run every single play, or every single game. Really impressive. Yeah,
looking at Jerome Curry, 10 of 13, 115 yards, a touchdown, but he did have that pick at the end of the game to really just seal.
It was end of the game. You can't put that pick on him. It was just end of the game. Heave one up to one of our tall receivers, Bruce. That's not on him, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. But looking at the game, as we watched it, I kind of felt like our explosive plays were a lot. We just didn't see him. Jordan Donahue, a guy who normally catches a lot of deep balls, 8.5 yards per reception. That's it's not regular.
And at the beginning of the game, we were running a lot of RPOs, trying to settle down the offense, a lot of short slants and curl routes to Jordan. He did well with them, honestly. They were moving the chains, but we really started to get away from it. And University, they made a lot of good adjustments at halftime to really slow down our offense.
We talked about the score at halftime, and it seemed like it would be a lot more, but both defensive played a lot better in the second half,
absolutely,
including ours. Brady Manning, 9 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Samari Chisholm, holy cow, he had this TFL. It blew up the backfield, spine bustered the running back. It was crazy.
Absolutely. Samari, known for his massive hits. Really, really explosive player.
Yeah, but that brings us to 2 losses on the season, so looking forward.
2 outrageous losses as well. You lose the first one on a snap that goes over the quarterback's head. You lose the second one on a 4th and 7 jump ball. Absolutely ridiculous. Tough ways to lose. I feel like through those 2 games, though, we've really showcased that we can play with the best. It's just about executing at the end, honestly.
Oh, yeah, and that's a good sign for the playoffs, but it's also –
we got to get there first.
We got to get there.
Speaking of, next week, Evans, an absolute must-win game. Evans is in our district. If we lose to Evans, we're probably not going to the playoffs. If we beat Evans, guaranteed playoff victory, we'd win our district. So that's an absolute must-win. Evans on the season, 5-3. Their only losses coming to very, very good teams, Apopka, Jones, and Lake Mary. And they've also had really big wins. Something Oviedo can't really say. They've beat They beat a top team like West Orange. Oviedo, they don't have any real signature wins.
Yeah, one of these losses would have been a great win for us.
Absolutely. Bishop Moore University, that would be a huge win for Oviedo. And we beat either one of them, we're going to the playoffs, even with a loss to Evans. But it comes down to this game. Yeah,
and this is going to be a really close game because 2 teams that are right on the border of that top 10-ish.
2 teams that are going to be fighting for playoff spots. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah, Evans, very dangerous running games. They have 2 runners who average 100 yards per game. That's a dual backfield. And their quarterback, 12 touchdowns, only 3 picks. They're a dangerous team. We can't overlook this team.
No, I don't think anyone's going to be overlooking it. Both teams' seasons are on the line with this one. I think Evans' offense really plays well into our defense. Our defense is very good against the run. We've got a good D-line, very fast D-line. Our linebackers are very, very good tacklers, and our safe Brady Manning also pretty much just plays as a fifth linebacker out there.
But yeah, and it's going to be at Evans too. So it's going to be a close one for sure.
Absolutely, that'll be a great game at Evans. So they're going to have the advantage. We're going to see how it goes. Could be a very disappointing, sad podcast next week for the Oviedo Lions.
Moving on to our rankings post week 9, I believe. Number 1, as we predicted last week, Cocoa moved to 4-3, beat Village's Charter 54-0.
Yeah, they've moved past their insanely hard schedule. They've got Astronaut next week, another easy win. They're going to be stacking wins to finish the season to go in playoffs, which will be great for their momentum. They've already proven that they can play with top teams, that they're going to match up within the playoffs. They've played every single team that they've lost to is a better team than what they're going to face in the playoffs. I think it's going to be an easy path to a state title for Cocoa. All right, coming in at number 2, Jones, 7-0, beat a pretty good Lake Wales team. A Lake Wales team that's really struggled with Central Florida's finest this season.
Yeah. Very impressive for
4 sacks and a really good defensive performance for Jones. They keep stacking wins, very impressive. They're going to have a lot of momentum going into the playoffs as well.
Number 3, O'Galley, 8-0 now, probably the best record in Central Florida.
I mean, yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, and they beat a Palm Bay team, not very good Palm Bay team, 43-0. Really looking at the end of their schedule, they can just coast through this.
Finish undefeated in the regular season.
Oh, yeah, great momentum. Moving into the playoffs for them.
Number 4, we've got TFA. Big bounce back win over Seminole, 36-25. TFA was coming off a loss going into this game from one of the top teams in all of Georgia. Running back Dane Thompkins led the team, 19 carries and 169 yards to go along with 3 touchdowns as well. An explosive performance from not only Thompkins but the entire offense. They also had 2 100-yard receivers, and Demetrius McCray and Evan James, who each scored a touchdown. Really, really impressive stuff from TFA, who have 2 wins over 2 of Central Florida's historically great teams in Edgewater and Seminole. They're, sadly for TFA, in their division, they have St. Thomas Aquinas.
Ooh.
That'll be I love TFA. I love how good they've been this season. They have massive wins. Neither Edgewater or Seminole matches up to St. Thomas Aquinas at all. That's their biggest obstacle for a state title.
Yeah, and they're going to need as many of these wins and as much momentum as possible to have a chance against them.
That would be one of the biggest upsets of the 21st century. St. Thomas Aquinas does not lose.
Number 5, we got Lake Mary at 6-2 now. That record's starting to look a lot better than it was.
Oh, yeah.
They beat Evans. We just talked about them. Maybe this is good for our Lions. Could be a little momentum killer, but it could also be a little.
Yeah, I think Evans losing 31-6 to Lake Mary just really showcases how close Oviedo and Evans are together. Oviedo's known for playing these 3-possession games with Lake Mary. Evans just did the same exact thing.
Yeah, Grubbs, a solid performance. You'd like to see a little more. 13 of 23, 179 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. I mean, it's
not bad.
They won.
Did what he had to do to win.
Yeah.
Just needs to keep putting the team in positions to win. That's all he has to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to know what you think about this. They've lost some big games, and when Grubbs puts performances like these out against bad teams, do you think that's like a sign of him to not be as good against really good teams, or this doesn't matter?
When you beat a team 31-6, that's pure utter domination. Honestly, the stats don't tell it all. You can't really take a lot away from that game. Honestly, it's just about his big performances against big teams. That's all it is. Honestly.
Gotcha.
All right. At number 6, we've got Edgewater. 7-2, beat an undefeated Dr. Phillips team 45-18. Edgewater really showcased how much talent they have. Josh Perry had 11 carries for 104 yards. They were really the clear favorite in this game, and they showcased that they were just much better than Dr. Phillips. Yeah, Dr. Phillips actually came into this matchup ranked a little higher on our Central Florida rankings, but I think we both knew with the timeline of these schools' careers, Edgewater is the better team. Yeah, Edgewater. 2 losses in the regular season for Edgewater is already a lot. It's probably already 2 more than I would have predicted on the season, if we're being honest. I don't see them dropping another game, and they proved that against a very good Dr. Phillips team. Coming in at number 7, we've got University. Obviously, they're 7-1 now after a win over the Lions. It was a quality win. Oviedo's a good opponent. Oviedo plays tough opponents really well. Just nothing much more to say about them. We already talked about them earlier. Number 8, Dr. Phillips, now 6-1, as we just mentioned, after their first loss to Edgewater. And
I mean, other than that Lake Mary game, which they did win, this is their real first good opponent. Again, other than Lake Mary.
Yeah, obviously. Cinderella season, undefeated season over for Dr. Phillips. Just because you lose to Edgewater doesn't mean your hopes are gone. Obviously, Edgewater is one of the greatest Central Florida teams in its history. But, yeah.
Yeah, you just hope for them. It's not the Lake Mary game was a fluke and Edgewater's regular.
You hope Dr. Phillips isn't peaking from their – you hope Lake Mary's not the peak of their season. You want to see them make a run in the playoffs, beat some more quality opponents.
Of course.
But Edgewater, like we said before, was just obviously the most talented, best coached team in this game. Coming in at number 9, Bishop Moore. They haven't really moved around these rankings a whole lot. They haven't played a lot of quality opponents since Oviedo that really established them in these rankings. But this week they beat Tavares, 5-3 opponent, a solid opponent, 41-14. Bjorn Jurgensen absolutely killing it this season. 19 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. That's an incredible ratio.
Yeah.
Absolutely. An incredible touchdown to interception ratio.
Yeah, Bishop Moore. I mean, they're a really good team. They're a quality team. I guess we'll really see when it comes to the playoffs how good they are.
They play Lake Mary as their last game of the season. I think that'll be a real showcase of what they're going to be able to do in the playoffs.
Number 10 in our rankings, we got Seminole. They went from 6-0 and ranked number 3 just 2 weeks later. Now 6-2, number 10. That loss to TFA, we mentioned a little bit earlier, 25-36. I mean, they still played good against a great opponent. 10 sacks for that defense, including 4 for senior Javon Peterson.
Yeah, absolutely. That defense is just to put up 10 sacks in a game and still give up 36 points. You got to shift the blame to the offense. Obviously, there was a 100-yard pick six, a kickoff return for a touchdown, and a safety. So that Seminole offense only managed 9 points in a massive game with TFA. That really leaves a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah, and a scoreline, like, you give up 36 points, you can't think the defense played that good, but offense just letting them down.
Yeah, when you look really more into the stats, the offense only scored 9 points against a really big opponent in TFA. That worries me a lot.
Yeah, and near the end of this game, Seminole was up 25-22 after that safety, but they let up 14 unanswered points, and yeah, they did let up 14, but what is the offense doing?
Yeah, you can't blame the defense for this loss. As an offense, when you're putting your defense out on the field over and over again, they're going to get tired, and that's going to lead to a 14 points given up at the end of the game.
All right, guys, that'll do it for us this week. Check our podcast next week. We'll have that Evans game review, back with more rankings. Please DM us any questions. If you'd like to maybe be on the podcast, maybe shoot us a DM. You know, if you're an athlete and you think, you know, you'd love to be on here.
Showcase your sport, showcase what you do. We'd love that. We'd love to have more interviews.
Yep, please check out oviedojournalism.com and listen to our friends' podcast, The Roar, and read all of our other stories. So have a good one, guys.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.